Hello, this is a short video to get you oriented to using Finale for harmony and arranging projects. So the very first thing is that we have to set up your computer to be able to do optimal shortcuts and efficient use of Finale. The first thing to do is to realize that this video is showing you how to use simple entry. Speedy entry is a different thing. It's beyond the scope of this video, so we're just going to be dealing with simple entry. So what you do first is you go to the window menu once you have your document open and choose Main Tool Palette and Simple Entry Palette. This is the Main Tool Palette, this is Simple Entry Palette. Then you click on the little note that looks like this, the straight up and down note. That gives you the Simple Entry tool. You go to the Simple Entry menu that has now appeared. You go down to Simple Entry Options, click on that. Deselect the first four of these. Hit Edit Keyboard Shortcuts. Select Laptop Shortcut Table. It might say default, but you want it to be Laptop Shortcut Table. Say OK. Click out of that. Click out of this. Then go to the Apple up here in your taskbar, System Preferences, Keyboard, and choose this upper button right here. That should be selected. So if it's not selected, you should click on it. What this does, it allows you to use the function keys to help you with Finale. So you can always unclick it when you're not using Finale. Okay, so what we've just done is going to allow us to do the following for note entry. You can see that I have a floating cursor because I'm in the Simple Entry tool right now, a floating cursor of a note, and you can choose note values like this. But what we've done is we've set up your computer so that you can change the note values much more quickly by hitting the number keys on your computer. 7 is whole note, but 6 is half note. 5 is quarter, 4 is eighth, and 3 is 16th. And that allows you to change your note values much faster as you're entering notes with your left hand. Then your right hand can move the note around to get it to where you want it to be. Say you wanted it to be a D, you could just move it to a D. Or say you incorrectly entered it there and you wanted it to be a D. Once it's entered, you can just arrow down and you'll get to where you want to be, or arrow up. Once you've got that, if you want to enter a chord now, because of the way you've set up your computer, you can hit the function keys. Those are the keys at the very top of your keyboard, F1, F2, etc. And those correspond to intervals. So if I wanted a triad, a root position triad, I'd F3, and it will create a third, F3, and a seventh chord like that. It's very fast for note entry. So if you didn't get all that, just rewatch this part of the video. But that's those settings that we just set up allow you to basically enter notes much more quickly. Okay, the next thing we need to look at are the main shortcuts. Let's talk about the selection tool first. The selection tool looks like this. It's an arrow. But if you're in another tool and you want to get to it fast, you can just hit escape and it will go right there. That's often faster than navigating there with your mouse or with your trackpad. So again, escape. I can be on another tool, hit escape. I'll always go back to the selection tool. The selection tool is very powerful. If you click on a measure and then control click, you will get a contextual menu that will allow you to do all kinds of things. Change the measure attributes, change the bar line types, do multi-measure rest, cut, copy, use this thing called the filter, which we'll talk about later, change layers, copy selected items, transpose, more and more key signatures, time signatures, etc. It allows you to do almost everything you'd ever need to do by simply being in the selection tool and control clicking to get some options. So you need to know about that. The next thing you need to know is that when you are in the selection tool, if you want to manipulate notes, there's a couple of really easy shortcuts. The number 6, if I select that measure, allows me to move down by diatonic step. 6, down by diatonic step. 7, up by diatonic step. That will work for a single note and for a whole chord. Then 8 is up by octave, down by octave, sorry, and 9 is up by octave. And again, for a chord or a single note, 8 down an octave, 9 up an octave. So 6, 7, 8, and 9 when you're in the selection tool is very, very helpful. Next we have simple entry shortcuts. Okay, we already talked about the numbers being the value of your note. So if I want to change this quarter note into a half note, I hit 6. If I want to change it into a whole note, I hit 7, and so on. And we know that the function keys create intervals. So if I wanted to get a fourth above that, I'd hit F4, then a third above that, I'd hit F3, and so on. Now, if I wanted to go down and manipulate a note that's within a chord, so I've selected it, I can move left and right with left and right arrows. So you can see I moved over to that chord, back to this chord. And say I wanted to turn this chord into a triad by eliminating the upper note. I can do Command arrow and move up through the chord or down through the chord. Up arrow, down arrow. Up arrow brings me up through the chord. When I get to the note I don't want, I can hit delete, and then I'm all set. Now say I was going to be doing some voice leading, and I realized that this chord, this D, is too high. That's not good voice leading. So I could select that note and do Shift arrow down, and it will bring it down an octave. Then I could Command arrow up through to the next note and see if I want to change that. And if I do, once it's selected, I could do arrow to bring it down a diatonic step, or arrow up to do it up a diatonic step. So that's the way you can manipulate chords while you're in Simple Entry tool. Remember, that's different from Selection tool. Okay, so those are some important shortcuts there. And then finally, if you are doing a harmonic analysis, if this is one of my classes, you probably have a template that includes harmonic analysis tools, which are contained in this tool, which is called the expression tool. And if you double click on it, you'll see a lot of options, and one of them is Roman numerals. Anyway, in Roman numerals, you have all these possibilities for harmonic analysis. But I may have given you some shortcuts, so you can go fishing around looking for the chords you need, but also if I've given you shortcuts, you'll know from what I've told you in class and the instructions. For example, in this template, the diatonic triads are numbers 1 through 7. So if I hold down 1 while I'm in this tool, the expression tool, and I hold down 1, I get one Roman numeral 1. If I hold down 2, I get 2 minor 3, I get 3 minor. In other words, the major key diatonic chords are pre-programmed as numbers. I hold down the number and I get that Roman numeral that I need. I'm holding down 5, I'm holding down 6, I'm holding down 7. The minors in this template are right below that. So if I'm on 1 and I want to get the 1 minor, I can just go down below 1, which is the letter Q on my keyboard, and hit Q, and I will get 1 minor. If I go down below the number 2, I get the letter W. I'll hit that, I'll get 2 diminished, and so on. And I get all my diatonic minor triads are programmed on the row of letters that's below the numbers that they correspond to. So that's it. You have your computer set up the way I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and you learn all these shortcuts. You will be able to use Finale in a way that will be pretty fluent and easy to do your project. What I didn't deal with in this video is stuff about drum writing and other things. Well, that will be dealt with in a separate video.